Are you good? Are we good? Are we doing stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, everybody. I'm Brad, hanging out with Josh. This is the podcast where we review albums that are mostly metal for whatever it's worth that are turning 20 years old. We review them based off of 4 different parameters. Each one can get 5 points total from both Josh and myself, for a total of 20 from each of us individually and a total of 40 total. Total.
Totally.
And yeah. Disclaimer for this episode. I already marked our podcast as whatever.
Explicit content. Profane.
Explicit content, yes. So that's in there already. However, I understand that doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. The C word is gonna be said in this episode
Cthulhu.
probably at least 3 to 5 to 10 times, because the very first, well, not the first track, the second track on the album, but the first real song that's not an instrumental intro is called Everyone Buckle Up. Because this is the first one, and I'm not apologizing or reminding you again that the song is called Gilded Cunt.
Yeah.
Everyone okay? Did we live through that word that we actually made up in the first place and for some reason find very, very offensive? Good. So that's going to come up. Sorry.
Sorry, not
jump
sorry.
Off board if you're not cool with it. I understand. I do. I'm being kind of silly with the made up word thing and all that. So I get it. It is offensive to some people. Jump off now. Maybe jump in the review. Actually, probably not. It's a really good song. So
super good, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't want to listen, I completely understand. Hopefully, I got you to the 60-second mark of the podcast, so you still got us a listen on wherever you're listening to your podcast.
Boom.
But that's why I was kind of trying to take my time. Anyway, so yeah, we are going to be reviewing the album Nymphetamine.
Nope.
By Cradle of Filth.
Nymphetamine.
I knew I'd say it wrong.
Really?
Because it's a Yeah, I did, because I keep saying it wrong.
How?
I say it wrong once, and then I'll say it right. I don't know. I don't know. And the worst part is it's a portmanteau with nymph in it.
Yeah. That's the first part.
Yeah.
It's like saying
Which, by
brunch
the way,
without breakfast. Like, we're going out for unch. Like, what?
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes I'm dumb. I don't know what to tell you. Anywho, Nymphetamine. All of that to say.
So, Cradle of Filth, Suffolk, England. These folk are British. These Suffolk, as it were.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Active for a long time up to this. So this is one of our longer active bands to an album that we're reviewing. It's pretty cool. Started in 1991, so active for 13 years at this point.
Yeah, that's insane. Also, I don't know why, but I don't really consider them to be a part of the second wave of black metal, but they almost kind of have to be. They just don't sound like anyone else. Like, they don't sound like Emperor. They don't sound like Mayhem. They don't sound like any of those bands.
Definitely
Immortal.
Doing their own thing.
Yeah.
This album particularly, genre is listed as extreme metal, which... Yeah.
Fair.
So, I guess? I don't understand. You've told me how that's just like a lump sum category for things that don't fit. Like, Black Crown Initiate is listed as extreme metal. And these are not the same.
I don't know what else... No, not at all. It's just like, it seems, because honestly, despite how much Cradle leans to black metal,
I don't know
if I would call Nymphetamine that. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't at all.
There are parts, certainly, but they wear their Iron Maiden influence on their sleeve really hard, where black metal bands weren't doing that. Extreme metal. I guess I don't. Now that I'm hearing it, I don't really know what else to call it. So,
all right.
Yeah, I guess fair enough.
Did I already say 5 prior releases?
I think no. You just said that they were around for 13 years at that point. Maybe you did, and even if not, it's worth mentioning again. That's a lot.
That is a lot for only being around 13 years at that point. Cruelty and the Beast, which I thought I knew better, but I looked at the track list and I don't. The only thing I really know from it is one version had the cover of Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Oh, yeah. The Dusk and Her Embrace and Cruelty and the Beast were the ones I had on burnt CDs back in the day that I listened to a lot.
Nice.
So those are kind of, you know how I forgot that I was really into the first Bleeding Through album, Portrait of a Goddess, but then I listened to it and I was like, I remember everything happening on this.
Yep.
Those two albums are the same way, apparently. I don't remember when that happened, but I knew everything that was going on.
Okay. And then Damnation in a Day,
my brain.
the immediate prior release to this in 2003. The immediate.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Boy. Yeah. And I wish, we kind of talked about this. I kind of actively avoided Nymphetamine.
Yes. And I did it your direction.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. But I don't, even the operatic singing is on Damnation in a Day. There's nothing out of the ordinary on this album compared to Damnation in a Day. If you called it Damnation in a Day Part 2 or Damnation in a Night, because the bands do that stupid shit. But
Redemption in the Night.
Yeah. It would make sense because they came out a year apart and man, they have so much similarity.
It's so interesting because most of the reviews that I read kind of reference Damnation in a Day in a negative way. Or if somebody liked this album, they're like, oh, this is so much better than Damnation in a Day. And if somebody liked Damnation in a Day, they're like, this doesn't sound nearly as modern as that did. So there's a lot of dichotomy between these two albums in a weirdly strange way.
Yeah. That makes no sense. They literally sound like a part 1 and part 2. And most of it was written by the same people. Both albums are written mostly by the same people.
Yeah.
And the fucking production sounds similar. I mean, it's I
happen to think Damnation in a Day was phenomenal.
Yeah, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it makes it even weirder that I never listened to Nymphetamine because it's this is exactly what would come out after that. Yep. Not a curveball at all.
Weirdly, different record labels. So Damnation in a Day was released by Sony. And then, I don't know, some stuff happened, and they're like, oh, we'll go to Roadrunner.
Well, and the only reason I know that Damnation in a Day was released on Sony is because for the longest time, I couldn't listen to it on any streaming service that I had. It was the only album that wasn't on any streaming service, so I ended up just, I actually bought it.
Sony, if you're out there listening to this, first, why? Second, get your shit together with your copyrights. Just play nice so you can stop ruining everything. Please keep making the PlayStation. Please do that.
Yes.
But everything else, just kind of fuck off.
I know, dude. It's ridiculous. And now it's on Spotify. I had Amazon Music for the longest time, and it was never on there, and I would actually bet that it's still not there. Also, I just recently tried to listen to the the vampire woman killing people movies. What movie am I thinking of?
Underworld?
Underworld 2 soundtrack with that really sick Atreyu song.
Oh, yeah.
That's nowhere. That soundtrack might as well never have existed. Because her Portrait in Black is such a good song. I was like, shit, I'll just, I'll listen to that on Spotify today.
No, you won't.
Nope. Same with A Dozen Furies. Same thing.
Yeah, A Dozen. How good is A Dozen? Yeah. Anyway.
I bought it.
Good.
Yeah. Anyway. Also, does everyone know what a portmanteau is? I'm just glad we got to bring it up on the podcast. I don't know if we've gotten to bring up a portmanteau. Has it? Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you don't know, it's 2 words put together to create a new word. Brunch is breakfast and lunch put together. Brunch. Nymphetamine is a nymph, and amphetamine put together. Nymphetamine.
Yeah.
So, I just love it.
Not the same as what Norma Jean did with their second album with the whole characterantula and disconnect tie. Not the same.
No. Not the same thing. Nope. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you're out there, Alton Brown, thank you for making me interested in things that I probably shouldn't have been. And now very much am.
Yeah. So what do you think of the album, like, overall? Or do you want to take it track by track? I heard there's a track on here. The rather
there sure is.
pointed name.
There is, and the lyrics to that shit is so funny. I don't. So okay, first of all, before we get into a track by track, which we absolutely will, if any of you out there are interested, go to the wiki page for this album. Danny Filth himself does a track by track breakdown.
Very nice.
The dude sounds like his lyrics. Yes, they are vulgar at times, and he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But his vocabulary, I have to look up so many words when I read his lyrics. Like he writes lyrics like a Shakespearean play, and it's just awesome as hell. The dude is
British.
Talented. Well, fair enough. But he does a really cool track by track breakdown. I won't get into it really, but I really do recommend reading it. It's super fun. But yeah, I mean, we got track 1, right? Satyriasis?
Yeah, why not?
Is that what we're calling it? Is that supposed to be part of the Satyricon? Is that like that whole thing?
They definitely have a similar root word.
Interesting. The Satyricon is awful.
That sounds awful. Good band.
Yeah, they did some good stuff. They were part of the second wave of black metal as well. And then they turned weird, like they called it black and roll. Like it was like rock and roll black metal. That was odd.
I'm imagining that in my head, and it doesn't sound great.
Yeah, the Satyricon is a piece of work. I don't remember from when. I want to say ancient Greece, but that's probably not right. And it's apparently just the worst thing ever. I've tried to read some of it, the translation, because it gets brought up in a lot of the history stuff that I listen to and watch. And
makes sense.
It's like part play, part journal, and part really graphic porn.
Oh.
Very odd. Very odd. And not... and
not in a good way.
No,
is what he was about to say.
Yeah.
Apart from the regular awesome graphic porn.
Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Don't yuck anybody's yum.
Yeah. Hey, look at you saying it. I didn't even have to say it.
I fucking hate it.
Awesome.
It tastes like ashes in my mouth.
Great Megadeth song.
Yeah.
Great Megadeth song. I'm gonna stop, I guess, bringing up the fact that this keeps getting brought up, but instrumental intro. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are in between. This one's a good one in my opinion. It's short,
I agree.
minute 41. Knock it out. They clearly know what they're doing when it comes to orchestral pieces.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds straight from Damnation in a Day. I can't believe the reviews are this divisive on this.
Yes, they are too.
Odd. It's odd. I don't get it. But it's good. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. They didn't do it too long to where it got old, and it's interesting.
No. Yeah, for sure is.
And then you know what it goes perfectly into?
It slides straight into a gilded cunt beautifully.
You're damn right it does. Yeah, Gilded Cunt, track 2, 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Excellent song.
Super good. It starts off so nice and thrashy, which I didn't expect.
Yeah. No. It's just like from like a minute and a half or so in, he's just saying cunt over and over, by the way. And I love it. I just, because then you read the rest of the lyrics and they're so intellectual and so beautiful. And then he just starts yelling cunt over and over for a while.
So this is one part
cool.
Where I will get into the track by track commentary from him just because he puts it so well. It's like, there was nothing quite as gratifying as screaming the word cunt at the top of one's lungs for the midsection of this vicious little ditty.
Yep. Oh, vicious little ditty.
Yeah,
On top of all of that, he says vicious little ditty.
Yeah.
Dude rules.
He does. Danny fucking Filth.
I did have Yep. I had to look up the word frigger for this song. Do you know what the word frigger, Frigger, means?
I think you told me, but enlighten us.
Well, a despicable or obnoxious person, or a person who frigs. Because,
That's friggin' awesome.
Person who frigs.
Yeah.
Right.
I friggin' love it.
So yeah. I just also the last line of the song, take your pain and shove it up your asshole.
There you go.
Over and over and over and over again. Ridiculous.
Super ridiculous.
But such a good song. I mean,
but you know what you're getting with that track title. Like, there will be no surprise.
Yeah, when you're willing to put the two words on the back of a disc box that says "gilded cunt" on it, yeah, you're probably not super worried about the lyrical content.
Nope.
Yeah, great song though. I will say going into Nemesis, pretty different, being 7 minutes and 17 seconds long, and
super different. I got kind of like an Amon Amarth vibe out of this song.
Yep.
Like, I have a note here that says, like, so the tempo change at the end, the riff and the beat, like, we definitely straight up did that shit. Like, that's what we wrote.
Yeah, without even listening to this.
No.
Like, but yeah, it has a lot of reminiscence. Like, clearly they were influenced by people who influenced the people that we were influenced by, if that makes any sense.
Say influence one more time.
Influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's like a hardcore riff in this song.
Yeah, it's sick.
And it's super sick. It's super sick. Yeah.
I love all 7 minutes of it too. Like, it doesn't stop. Like, it doesn't drag at any point. There's no like filler.
Nope.
It's just 7 minutes of awesome song.
Yep. My last note on that track. Hey, Darkest Hour ? This is how you make a 7 minute and 17 second song. Also, new album by Darkest Hour is incredible. So, we shit talk Sadist Nation a lot and all that, but please know that we love Darkest Hour, and everything they've done since is really good, and they were not stuck in that trap for long.
No.
And man, that new album is
super good.
Quite good. I will say, well, so like a lot of these songs, I found myself saying, man, yeah, Cradle of Filth.
Yeah.
Sounds like Cradle of Filth. You know what I mean? And not in a bad way at all, but it was just like, there was a lot of that. I'll say Gabriel, the track 4,
Gabrielle.
Yeah. That's right, because the E-L-L-E.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah. Gabrielle. Very nice. That one reminded me so much of Damnation in a Day. Like, that could be on that album
for sure
all day long.
Yeah.
I love it when they get into their slow stuff. They're not a band I ever want to shy away from their like slow movements with Danny Filth doing the weird talk thing, whisper thing. I think he really flexes his vocal muscles when he does stuff like that. And I love it.
There's definitely like it's not necessarily a hidden, but it's not a featured guitar lick in there. That's something that I noticed that they kind of do. And it's really complex, and it's in the background. And I love finding those in there. They're like little Easter eggs throughout songs. They did it.
And they do it a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's so sick. What else did they do it in?
I think it's in Better to Rain in Hell.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think
the little bass back behind. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. And it's like, they're adding like a texture rather than like a thing that's supposed to take your attention away from anything else. Yeah. It's like Black Bubblegum by Dillinger Escape Plan. There's this little background guitar synth thing going on for like most of that song that is barely recognizable, but once you hear it, you realize that's what's making the song sound so fluid almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's super sick. They're just, the one thing I'll say about this album overall, it's just dense.
It is very dense.
It's like there's
it's
a lot going on.
15 minutes too.
Yeah, it's a long ass album.
Yeah.
And every song, nothing is basic. Even when it sounds kind of like they're doing the punk thrash thing, it usually has, either soaring vocals over it with awesome intricate lyrics that are telling a story that is just like just crazy in the fact that he can do all that, or that you have those textural components or an orchestra over top or symphony or whatever it is,
Right.
and it's like there's just a lot in this thing.
A lot going on. It actually gets pretty watchable. Because he's an
Awesome.
ivory hunter.
What is that? Why I can't put my finger on
It's
that?
the show with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and the elephant. The little Family Guy spoof show. It's like, see?
Oh.
See? Lot going on. Yeah, it actually gets pretty
Awesome.
watchable. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Such a deep cut, too.
Yeah, that until you said the show in Family Guy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even connect Julie Louis-Dreyfus and the elephant yet.
Yeah.
Until you gave me where it was. So good. That is a good one. Absinthe and Faust?
With Faust, yeah.
With Faust, yeah. Great song. Danny in his breakdown says it sounds like Master of Puppets era Metallica. And when I read that, I was like, well, my first reaction was, no.
Oh.
There's no way you're doing anything that sounds like Master of Puppets era Metallica, but he's definitely right.
Yeah, it does. 100%. A lot of this album has
100%.
that like thrashy tone to it.
Yep. And in a lot of the like songwriting too, it's just it goes through a lot of the similar moments and movements,
which you
that Master
can
of Puppets
miss
did.
if somebody doesn't point it out to you because of all the other shit they're doing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I will say it's the back half of the album where I do get a little into I'm getting Cradle fatigue a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing is bad. I don't have a bad thing to say really about anything. But you get through that much Cradle of Filth in a certain era, and you're doing it.
Although for me, Coffin Fodder kind of breaks that up a little bit. Like, I have a note here that says, like, I don't necessarily know what I think of when I think of Cradle of Filth, but this isn't it. So I'm glad that was in there for sure.
Agreed. Yeah. Track 9, Coffin Fodder. Yeah. So super upbeat for a Cradle song, and I said is a cool departure from the norm. So yeah, I totally agree. It is a lot different. A lot of Iron Maiden in that song. A lot of Iron Maiden. Also, I will say Painting Flowers White never suited my palate. Track 7 with 1 minute and 56 seconds. I love that song. Like, I know it's short. I know it's just a little, I mean, no pun intended, a palate cleanser almost to kind of like move you into the second half of the album almost. But I love it.
I see where you're coming from, but I kind of disagree. Like, I had a note that says this kind of does more to lose my interest than to grab it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's fair. Because honestly, I found Nymphetamine to be too long. And so when I got to Painting Flowers, I was just glad that it was something else.
Yeah.
But that is super fair. I don't know. Like, I again, once you get into a lot of the rest, I mean, I will say though, English Fire, I love that song.
The exact opposite note on Nymphetamine. I was like, it's nice. It's a nice new element with the guest vocals to breathe some life into the middle of long song and an overall long album so far. So I guess we both got what we needed, just out of different songs.
Yep. Yeah, apparently, because I do like Nymphetamine. I actually said this is probably the song that made me think that this album wasn't good.
Right.
But I don't know why.
Nymphetamine Fix, I think, is the one that they kind of generally released as Nymphetamine because it's the same song.
Yeah. Just I was disappointed by that. Like, so when I got to Nymphetamine Fix, I wanted, you know how Slipknot, we just did Slipknot, Subliminal Verses, and they do the two songs that are the same but not the same.
Right.
And they're almost like one is the shadow of the other almost, rather than being super similar.
Right.
That's what I wanted Nymphetamine Fix to be. I wanted it to be a different take on the same idea almost.
That's totally fair. And if we're offering critique, like, I would have made the choice to put Fix first and then Overdose
Same.
second, to kind of like really drive home that core or that bit of concept that's in the album.
Agreed. I completely agree with that. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, track 13, Mother of Abominations, is cool because it's about Cthulhu, which is cool. But again, we're getting to the point in the album for me where I'm just like, this is definitely a Cradle of Filth song, and I've definitely been listening to it for an hour.
Right.
Like,
that song specifically, like the intro does nothing for me. The song starts great, and then there's a long outro that's essentially an interlude without being a separate track. So
yeah, I like in the intro's a bit much. I like the chant because of the Cthulhu thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've read the H.P. Lovecraft story, like that's a big part of it is the tribe chant.
One of the reviews actually said, like, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek review, but it's like, yeah, and Danny Filth consistently mispronounces the word Cthulhu, so like you can basically see how dedicated he is to the subject matter and how involved how much he actually gives a shit about what he's doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else specific to touch on. Again, I said English Fire. I thought that was a really cool song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I again, I don't know how much I have to add. If you've gotten that far, then you're not going to be surprised by anything that happens for the rest of the album. It's not bad at all. And if you like it, you're probably cool with the length. But if you're deep diving it like you and I had to do, at a certain point, it's like, I don't know how much I have to add here. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It's just, I don't know how many times I can say, this does sound like Cradle of Filth.
Yeah. We didn't hit on Filthy Little Secret necessarily specifically, so I just had a note, like, this song's straight up rock and roll. Like, it must have caught my attention coming off of English Fire, because that one's a little slower. I just had, like, This song rips. Did Nick Morrow write this solo?
Awesome. Because, well, you know, if he ever catches wind of any of this, he will be very proud of both of our comments on this song, because my first thing was thrash up your ass. So... So yeah, no, agreed. And Swan Song for a Raven at 12, it's cool. I liked the intro. I liked the vibe it was setting.
I love
the piano. Keep it going. Yeah, I loved it, but then it stopped and went right into stuff. Like, I was like, oh, I would love this track to just do this. Like, be an emotional sort of thing, but still, it was good.
So we talked a little bit about this being like a continuation of Damnation in a Day, but there are actually two new artists on this album. Mm-hmm. So you got Danny Filth on vocals, Paul Allender on guitar, and James McElroy. His name is Germs Warfare, which is hilarious.
Sick.
It's his first album on guitar. Martin Powell as Martin Fowl, Foul. The stinky.
A lot of effort put into that.
The stinky keyboardist. Keyboards, guitars, choral arrangements. It was his first album. And then you've got Dave Pybus as Hair Pubis on the bass. And then Adrian Erlandson, the man who needs no introduction, on drums.
None.
One of the reviews, I had never seen this nickname before, called him the Norseman of the Apocalypse.
Sick.
Fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, Adrian Erlandson, everything the dude does. Just, like, I know he got into some gothic shit that I was not into, but like, if he's on a metal record, I'm into it.
We are definitely going to hit The Haunted later this year. That is one of my must-review albums.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait. I genuinely, it's... Wait, he's not on that, though, is he?
I thought he was. Maybe he's not.
I don't think so. I think he left the band by then, or he... No, maybe he is. Maybe he is.
We're going to find out at some point.
We are going to find it. Yeah, because I think he left The Haunted after their first full-length release.
Well, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on The Haunted in 1998, and then it was... Yeah, because then he joined Cradle of Filth.
Okay.
Yeah. God, he's so good.
Well, damn.
And I mean, he's in At the Gates. What else can you do? I mean, that's about as big of an impact as you can make to the metal scene.
Yeah. You are the drummer at that point.
Yep. One thing about the album that I found pretty weird, I don't normally dive into this stuff as much as you do, but the producer, Rob Caggiano, wild. That is so weird. So do you
Super
remember the I bought it because of this. This is the third DVD this podcast has pushed me into buying. Anthrax, Music of Mass Destruction.
That was
do you remember that DVD?
Live with Black Dahlia on it and everything.
Yeah, and it had like the kick drum part where it goes on for like 2 minutes. Yeah, he was their guitar player, Rob Caggiano.
I know. I was shocked to learn that. And I was also shocked to learn that he was in the Damn Things, which I knew part of Anthrax was.
Yeah.
And I was even more shocked to find out that the other half of the Damn Things was fucking Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew Keith Buckley.
Really?
I knew the Anthrax connection. I missed the Fall Out Boy connection.
Yeah, guitar player and drummer, right?
Drum and bass? Maybe. But yeah, two members for sure.
Yeah, either way.
Definitely the drummer.
Like, yeah. No, because the bass player was from Every Time I Die at the time. But he only played on one Every Time I Die record and then he quit the band.
Nah.
But, man, yeah, no, it's crazy. I didn't know this dude produced shit. I had no idea. I knew he was in Anthrax. I knew he left Anthrax to be in Volbeat.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that stuff, but I had no idea he produced. He produced a lot, too.
I was going to say he didn't produce much, so you found different information.
Well, like he did 2 Cradle of Filth albums, Bleeding Through the Truth. He did a couple Il Nino albums, like The Agony Scene, The Darkest Red.
No way.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
This guy's all over 36 Crazy Fists, Dry Kill Logic. I mean, this guy was all over it.
All right. Good on you,
no
mate.
No idea. Yep. He looks exactly like I remember from the DVD. He has not changed in any way, shape, or form. Good. That makes me happy.
So I think we're probably going to trend generally positively in the reviews, but it's worth noting that this hit the Billboard 200 and ended up at 89. So, like, there was some commercial success associated with this. And
gotta tell you, if you're going to name a song Gilded Cunt and you're going to make it to 89 on the Billboard, that's hell of an accomplishment, man.
That's not overcoming the first adversity. Single released for sure.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't. But still, it's on there. Yeah. Like, it's on there.
Actually,
that's awesome.
I think Nymphetamine was the first single, and that's probably what turned us off of this album overall. Like, it's not a good clue as to what's going to happen in the rest of the album.
Agreed. It's really good in the context of the album.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I agree with you. It's not really necessarily a representation of the album as a whole.
But generally, the reviews were pretty favorable. So Metal Storm did 2 reviews at 2 separate times by 2 separate people. And it's hilarious the difference between the two. One gave it a 7 out of 10, and the other one gave it a 9 out of 10. So from the 7 out of 10 one, this pretty much sums it up. The reviewer says, I think a 7 is the most objective grade I can muster for this album. If you are a fan... If you are a fan of this band, add a 2 to this, and if you hate it, subtract, well, the equivalent of your hatred. And the second reviewer, who is apparently a fan of Cradle of Filth, gave it a 9 out of 10. He just added 2 and said all the positive things. So,
interesting. Yeah. You know what? That's a very objective,
extremely
way to look at this.
Well-written review.
I like that a lot, actually. I respect that. Wow, good for that person.
You know what? If you're into it, add 2. If you hate it, then just take it down to whatever you fucking feel like.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, before we get into specifics on the review, do you have any other high level that you wanted to hit, or did we pretty much touch on it? I feel like we touched on most of my thoughts.
I think so, yeah.
The only thing I would say, in an age where everyone wasn't trying to do metal vocals the quote-unquote right way, Danny Filth was. And, like, I think everyone currently in extreme metal is just trying to play second fiddle to this dude at this point still, even though he's been doing it for so long. It's unreal. I'll never get tired of how much he's able to do and do it healthy and do it for 30 years at this point, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's like, good for you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Charismatic. You know what you're doing.
Charismatic Voice actually did a review of Nymphetamine, a live version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, he's even better live. The dude is just, he knows what he's doing. It's great. Yeah. Review. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Loud as shit, too.
Sick.
Man, wild.
I hate my things.
Wild.
So,
anywho, what'd you think of the artwork? Yeah, go ahead. Go, you're good.
I gave it a 4. It's
okay.
It's pretty Cradle of Filth. I think it sets up the concept of the album well, even though it's not necessarily a concept album. There's definitely some themes that run throughout, especially the Nymphetamine tracks. I think it's simple but effective. It was done by an artist, Matt Lombard, who's got some other pretty graphic, actually probably even a little bit more macabre than this artwork. I mean, it's just a woman in a corset with some hellfire. So, like, if you want to check out his stuff, it's different. But as an artwork for this album, I think it's pretty effective.
Oh, fair enough. I landed on a 3. I don't like how the woman looks a little Photoshoppy.
Yeah.
Like, while everything else around her kind of looks not so Photoshopped. I don't know how to put my finger. It's just one of those albums. Again, I'm always going to like something that looks like an actual piece of drawn, painted art.
Gotcha.
Over
a digital artwork.
It's fine. Yeah, digital artwork just never does it for me, or more often than not doesn't. Because, I mean, even Cradle of Filth have had other albums. Like the newest one, Existence is Futile, is super good.
So
I mean,
good.
The artwork's incredible. Not that I'm judging the two against one another, but it's a little on the nose. Ish.
I get that.
It's not a bad thing. It's fine. That's why it's a 3 for me, because it's fine.
Yeah, and I guess if we're if we're picking, I don't love the Nymphetamine font.
Yeah, it looks very applied after the fact, and not a great choice.
Hey, what do you think about Comic Sans? Oh no? Okay. I guess I'll try Script.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's not bad. I would never give it less than a 3. I just couldn't do more.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What about the production?
Production. So I have a whole ramble about Rob Caggiano doing the production, because I just had no idea he did it. But I think it's solid. I mean, I've said this before. I'm not a huge fan of the British metal amp tones that some metal bands use. That it's not often in extreme metal, but again, there's no denying Iron Maiden's impact on Cradle of Filth.
Right.
And so you can tell they're going with that martial British tone. And I'm not normally a fan, but I think because the bass tone is so huge on this album that I think it plays well with everything and fills out anything that would be thin otherwise. I think the bass helps there a lot and works with the guitar really well.
For sure.
I think the drums sound great. The kick is a tad bit overpowering. Like it's really coming through, but I generally like that. That's not something I normally dislike.
Right.
So, like, if I was being objective, could that be off-putting? Because it's just sometimes it's just a wall of kick that's kind of in like Danny Filth's voice, both kind of coming at you. But But yeah, I don't think you could do anything to make his voice sound bad. I think you could try and it would still be okay. And just like my feedback on Winter Sun, I think the symphonic orchestral moments don't overpower the rest of the production. So I think it sounds great. I would give it a 4. I think it holds up well. It doesn't sound too dated. I mean, if you did it now, would it sound exactly like that? I probably not, but it doesn't sound like super old or
right.
It's not like you're listening to like a Blue Oyster Cult record or something. It sounds good.
Nice. So I had originally given it a 5, but then like listening to you just now and thinking about some of the other ones we've reviewed, I knocked it down to a 4 because you're right. Like I gave Winter Sun a 5 last time, and this ain't Winter Sun.
No.
Like
no.
It doesn't. You mentioned like the bass kind of has a redeeming quality or effect on it, and I definitely agree. Like there's not a ton of low end in this, but like it doesn't have that like all treble kind of feeling that some of the other albums we've reviewed has. And the orchestral pieces are really well integrated along with his voice. So like you can't do it much better for this type of music, but like it doesn't have the little bit extra that pushes it over the edge. There are some bits like the panning in God, what song was that? Nymphetamine Overdose. The panning that they do with the vocals, super cool. So like there's some bits like that in there. So it's definitely, above mid grade. So I think a 4 is like a 4 is definitely the solid grade.
Sick. Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. This one's going to be weird, probably.
It is.
Impact at the time?
I gave it a 2. I liked Cradle of Filth at the time, but this album didn't really land then. Like we talked about before, like we heard Nymphetamine and kind of strayed away from it. But like we definitely were doing this type of music, whether that was through other influences that Cradle also had.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I didn't listen to it a whole lot at the time. So yeah, it's just a 2.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I had it at a 3 just because part of me was trying to do the mental gymnastics of Damnation in a Day meant so much, and since this seemed just like a direct descendant of that maybe in some roundabout sort of way, but no, I landed on a 2. I mean, I couldn't even do the Winter Sun in Sephirum dance where it's like it was impactful way before today, us recording this or listening to it. But honestly, I didn't listen to it until now. Well, whenever we did this. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm on a 2.
Sweet. And then what about listening to it for this today?
So this one's weird for me. I have nothing bad to say about the album. But by the end of it, I was over it.
Okay.
Not because anything was bad or anything. It's just... So I'm torn on this one between a 3 and a 4. It's not going to be a 5 because I know that even if I'm not taking that... Because, I didn't dislike anything about it. The entire album's very good.
Yeah.
It's just, I was ready for it to be over with like 3 or 4 tracks left. So, well, yeah, I guess saying that, I almost can't talk myself out of a 3. So I'm going to say a 3, but it's like one of those things where, is that really a full representation? Maybe not. Like, I think if you're not deep diving it like we did.
Right.
I think it's really good. If you just have it on, if you're at work and you like listening to music while you do whatever you're doing, this is so good. Because everywhere you hop in and hop out, you're going to find something interesting and it's never going to be boring. I just found myself like saying, yeah, this is Cradle of Filth one too many times at a certain point.
Yeah, that's fair.
So a 3.
All right. I actually gave it a 5. I kind of had a blast listening to this, and I did listen to it at work, and I did hop in and out at different times. So I only really tried to listen to the album maybe once or twice. So I didn't get that sick of it. Yeah. And then doing the deep dive, this is the first time I've really deep dove Cradle of Filth for any reason whatsoever. and having the track breakdown, the track by track commentary from Danny Filth, really kind of, I was listening to it while reading that. So I think the whole experience of this was just kind of a lot of fun. And I think, if you're interested in Cradle of Filth or interested in finding out about this album in particular, you're going to have a good time doing it.
Yeah. And I actually totally agree with all of that. Don't use my 3 as a basis for your listening. You should. This is a great album. So, yeah, definitely give it a listen. And please read the Danny Filth's commentary. It's so cool.
It is super
it's just
cool.
so cool. All right. So that out of the way. First of all, before I forget, so we don't repeat Insephirum, that gives this album a 15 from Josh, 12 from myself, and a 27 out of 40 overall. That's lower than I expected.
Same. But also totally justifiable. Yeah.
Yep. Super fair. All right. Favorite song?
Favorite song? I went with Nemesis. Coming off of Gilded Cunt and then switching up to like a folky power metal vibe. The Amon Amarth kind of feel to it. Kind of broke things up for me. It was a little different. It's a standout track and it's long. So there's just a lot to love. Yeah. So that was mine.
I will say that English Fire was almost my favorite just because I love how different it is. I love it when they get slow and kind of sludgy. I think they really live in that area really in a cool, unique way. And this is not on purpose, but it's Gilded Cunt. It just is. I think it's a phenomenal track. It never stops being just 190 miles an hour of Cradle of Filth at your face. And I think, and it to start right after a orchestral buildup, I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't.
And really, when it comes right down to it, there was nothing quite as gratifying as screaming the word cunt at the top of one's lungs for the midsection of this vicious little ditty.
Oh, Danny Filth, never stop being who you are, man. I don't know if anyone remembers this, the late 90s, early 2000s, when Cradle had a Jesus is a Cunt t-shirt. If anyone remembers that, that's offensive.
That. Yeah.
That is quite offensive. And also just remember, guys, I'm going to add our favorite songs to the TDTL-favorite songs playlist on Spotify every week. So if you guys want to listen to the songs that we have chosen to be our favorites, and in this case, one will be called Gilded Cunt.
Boom.
Sorry, I just had to say it like one more time before the podcast was over. But, it'll be there.
If you somehow know about this podcast and don't follow us on Instagram, we're on Instagram. Check us out. We were able to create, with the help of AI, a hilarious post where we replaced all the band members' faces with Colin Firth's face. We called it Cradle of Filth, and I thought it was the funniest fucking thing.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else did, and nope. I gotta tell you, I don't care at all. I laughed so hard at that shit. Yeah. Even people who would normally find agree with us on our sense of humor, I think, dipped out on that.
Didn't land.
And I'm fine with it. I am fine with it.
Fucking Cradle of Filth.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
But yeah, check out our Instagram. Check out the Spotify playlist. Anything else?
I got nothing, guys. I gave a rundown 2 weeks ago of what's coming up, so it shouldn't be too big of a surprise. I apologize to some people probably for this week because of the word cunt coming up so much, and then next week for a whole different reason. So, and I just saying, buckle up for Kill Switch. I can't wait. If you haven't been listening to that the entire time, shame on you.
Yeah.
You should have been.
All right. So with that, he's been Brad. I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.